Imagine a world draped in ice. Vast sheets of white stretch across the continents. This was the Pleistocene epoch, a time of giants. Woolly mammoths with curving tusks roamed the frozen steppes. Saber-toothed cats stalked through ancient forests. Here, another great hunter made its home. This was the dire wolf, Canis dirus. For hundreds of thousands of years, its howl echoed across the Americas. The La Brea tar pits give us a window into that world. Dire wolves approaching a struggling mammoth at a tar pit. Thousands of dire wolf skeletons have been pulled from sticky asphalt. These remains tell the story of a powerful, successful predator. They were the masters of their domain. The dire wolf was a true American original. Though they share a name, the dire wolf was not simply a bigger version of the grey wolf we know today. Side by side, they were different, more like distant cousins. The grey wolf, sleek, built for endurance. The dire wolf, a bruiser, shorter, sturdier legs, an ambush predator that grappled large prey with unmatched bite force. A specialist for Pleistocene megafauna, apex predators kept ecosystems healthy. They hunted large herbivores, horses, bison, young mammoths, controlling populations that prevented overgrazing and kept the environment balanced. It was a keystone species supporting the whole world it roamed. Then, around 10,000 years ago, as the Pleistocene epoch drew to a close, something fundamental changed. The world began to warm at an unprecedented rate. The great ice sheets that had covered much of the globe started to melt and retreat, carving new landscapes as fresh water poured into the oceans. This was a period of dramatic, rapid climate change, a planetary shift known as the Quaternary extinction event, which would redraw the map of life on Earth. For the dire wolf and many other giants of the Ice Age, this was the beginning of the end. The vast, cold grasslands they had known for millennia were transforming into forests and wetlands at a pace they simply could not adapt to. The world that had shaped them was vanishing, and they were in danger of vanishing with it. As a hypercarnivore specializing in large prey, the primary cause of the dire wolf's extinction became clear: the disappearance of its food. The giant ground sloths, the ancient horses, the camels, the mammoths. There are many theories as to why these mega herbivores died out. The changing climate altered the vegetation they depended on, replacing nutrient-rich grasses with forests. At the same time, a new and incredibly efficient predator was spreading across the land. Early humans, armed with sophisticated tools and cooperative hunting strategies. Caught between these pressures, the large herbivores disappeared. Without their primary prey, the dire wolves, specialists in a world that no longer existed, began to starve. Their powerful jaws, once their greatest asset, were now useless. What if they had survived? Imagine a world where the dire wolf did not go extinct. How would they fit into our modern landscape? The first and most immediate challenge would be their interaction with humanity. These are not grey wolves, which are often wary of humans. Dire wolves were apex predators accustomed to dominating their environment. It is likely they would see humans not as a threat to be avoided, but as competition. They would view our livestock, our cattle, our sheep, as an easy and abundant food source. This would inevitably lead to conflict. Ranchers and farmers would face a constant threat to their livelihoods. A pack of dire wolves, with their immense strength, could easily overcome fences and other simple deterrents. Governments and wildlife agencies would be faced with an incredibly difficult management problem. The calls for their eradication would be loud and persistent, creating a deep social and political divide. The presence of dire wolves would send ripples through every level of our modern ecosystems. The reintroduction of this powerful apex predator would fundamentally alter the delicate balance of nature as we know it. The entire food web, from plants to herbivores, would be forced to adapt to this new, ancient pressure. Their impact on prey species would be profound. Today, animals like deer, elk, and moose are primarily managed by hunters and, in some areas, by grey wolves. But the dire wolf plays by a different set of rules. With their robust build and bone-crushing bite, they were hypercarnivores, true megafauna specialists. They are specialists in hunting large animals. They would likely exert tremendous pressure on populations of elk and bison, who would face a predator more formidable than any they encounter today. In response, we might see these larger herbivores become more scarce, perhaps evolving to be faster, more aggressive, or simply more vigilant to survive the constant threat of encounters with such a formidable predator. The effects of a top predator cascade down through the food chain, influencing everything below it. We've seen this with grey wolves in Yellowstone. This is a concept known as a trophic cascade. By controlling the numbers of large grazers like elk, dire wolves would indirectly protect plant life. This in turn would provide habitat for songbirds and food for beavers. The presence of the dire wolf could paradoxically lead to a richer, more diverse ecosystem, but it would also create intense new forms of competition. The grey wolf, which has fought so hard to make a comeback in North America. Given our long history with the grey wolf, all modern dogs, from the tiniest Chihuahua to the largest Great Dane, are descended from grey wolves. But could we have domesticated the dire wolf? The key to the grey wolf's domestication was its behavior. The dire wolf may have been a very different creature, a hypercarnivore, less adaptable. Any attempt at forming a bond would have been fraught with extreme risk. Perhaps they could have been used as powerful guards or weapons of war, but it is difficult to imagine them becoming loyal family companions. Their spirit was forged in the brutal world of the Ice Age. For a long time, everything we knew about dire wolves came from their bones. From these fossils, we could measure their formidable size, study their healed injuries, and analyze their powerful teeth. Based on this skeletal evidence, scientists assumed they were simply a robust version of the grey wolf. But bones can be deceptive, and they couldn't reveal the deeper evolutionary story hidden within their cells. Then came a monumental breakthrough. After overcoming the immense challenges of DNA degradation, scientists were finally able to extract and sequence ancient DNA from dire wolf fossils. The results were astonishing, completely rewriting the story of this iconic predator. The DNA told us that dire wolves were not a sister species to grey wolves at all. In fact, they represented a completely distinct lineage of canid that had been evolving in isolation in the Americas for nearly 6 million years. This was a ghost lineage whose evolutionary path diverged long before many modern canids even existed. This means they do not share a close genetic link with any living wolf or dog. They were genetically isolated. Unlike grey wolves, who could borrow adaptive traits by interbreeding with other canids, dire wolves could not. When their environment and food source disappeared, they had no genetic toolkit to fall back on, no evolutionary escape route. Now, these genetic revelations are unlocking even more secrets, allowing us to map the very genes for their heavy build, powerful bite, and perhaps even their social behaviors, painting our most detailed picture yet. The ability to read ancient DNA inevitably leads to a tantalizing and controversial question. Could we bring the dire wolf back? The field of de-extinction is moving towards reality. Scientists are working to resurrect the woolly mammoth and the passenger pigeon. The process uses advanced genetic engineering like CRISPR to edit genomes. Then scientists would edit the genome of a close relative, perhaps a dog, to match ancient DNA. But where would it live? The world it was built for is gone. The megafauna it hunted are extinct. The ethical questions are as enormous as the scientific challenges. Do we have the right to play God and reverse natural history? Perhaps the true value isn't resurrection, but the lesson it teaches about the present. The dire wolf story is a call to action. We have a sacred trust to protect biodiversity,